recipe cost card.
Yeah.
Hope you all brought your calculators or phones.
Oh,
You're gonna be
absolutely,
needing it.
chef. For sure. For sure.
So, does anybody know if you're required to have a cost card for recipes?
Most of the time.
Yes, no. Anybody? Why are you required?
Oh, I don't know.
Does anybody know why?
So you can price out the menu correctly.
Yes.
Or the item correctly.
You're actually not required. It's just beneficiary. So, do you also believe you should have one at all times in the restaurant whenever you're?
I feel like prices fluctuate, so maybe not.
Like, so you have a booklet with every single cost card. For you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
I feel like you should at least have like a spreadsheet on your computer that when prices fluctuate, you can see what you can take out and be able to replace with something else.
Yes.
So it's best if you do have one because you never know when prices do fluctuate. And what if you're planning out your menu for a new season and it's set up the prices and all that? You need to be able to know what the selling price is because for all you know, you could be losing money and you're not even aware of it. So we're gonna start off with going over recipe cost cards and the terms along with the equations. Last class we went through portion control. So this
So
is the
there's
recipe
literally
cost
nothing
card.
there.
There's percent signs.
Because we'll be doing it by hand. As you go into the fields, you might acquire an electronic one, which will make your life much easier if you know the equations for that. But it's always best to know by hand first, just in case the system isn't working. So the first thing you need to know is edible yield percent. This is how much you're getting off of a specific food item. So actually, I'm going to pass out a handout. And I would like you guys to fill this out with the equations as the PowerPoint is going on. That way you have it for future reference.
Here you go, Slim.
Don't worry, all equations are provided in the PowerPoint. So edible yields is one of the most important points on the cost card. Without it, your recipe costing could be completely off. So pretty much, whenever you trim a piece of meat, a fruit, vegetable, and you have waste, you're not going to measure that into what you need. However, you are paying for it. So you have to fluctuate what you're actually buying for what you need. So you'll calculate this by first subtracting what you purchased away by how much waste there is, and that's going to be the trim loss. And from there, you'll take the as purchased weight minus the trim loss, and that's how much you're getting from what you purchased. When you do this, it should be in relative range of what you need for the recipe. And then you'll divide the purchased weight by how much you actually need to figure it out. And this is going to show up as a decimal. You want to make it into percent. There's also one other way for edible yield percent. There's the cooked yield percent. And pretty much you're taking whatever protein has water weight to it. And for a specific recipe, you might need 6 ounces of cooked chicken breast. However, you're going to have to start off with 8 ounces. So you kind of need to know this beforehand to prepare. The next is the as purchased quantity unit. So this is how much you're taking into the recipe from e-waste. So say you start off with 10 pounds of bananas. They're at a 50% yield. So you're going to need 15 pounds, 20 pounds to actually get the 10 pounds that you need for the recipe. So you'll calculate this by taking the quantity and divide by the edible yield percent. So now you need to know the invoice cost. This is where you put how much you paid for the ingredients on the invoice. It's also known as the unit purchase price and is the price paid for each item in a bulk purchase. So you say you get 25 pounds of chocolate chips. You're paying $70 for that. For this, you need to know that amount. So when you're further along the cost card, it's easier to grab it. So anything ranging from a flat, a bunch, a box, 15 dozen, anything. Usually a flat is 12 per flat. A box, depending how much is in the box, what you're buying, and so forth. So the recipe cost is also the cost per unit. You may need to convert the purchase unit to the recipe unit. So say you purchase 1 pound. Celine, please make Thank you. You may need to go from pounds to ounces. So the best way for this is to figure out how much it's going to cost for 1 ounce. If you simplify it to the easiest point, it makes it easier for you in the long run when you have to find out the total ingredient cost. So you find this out by dividing the purchase price by the number of units purchased. Is everyone following along with writing this down? Next is the ingredient cost. So this is where you place how much of a specific ingredient it will cost for the recipe. So say you need 20 ounces, it's 50 cents per ounce. That's $4 right there, $1. So from there, you'll take this and add it together to find out the next one, which is the ingredient total cost. So this is the sum of everything that you need for your recipe together. This is shown before the Q factor. Does anybody know what the Q factor is? Alex.
I think Q factor is like small amounts of things that we just like.
Yes. So pretty much any salt, herbs, spice, anything that is not worth actually calculating out, it's just going to be so minuscule. But however, there is a few that you should do, like vanilla extract, that can be quite pricey depending if it's pure or not, and so forth. So you have to take it to a grain of salt, like you need a quarter teaspoon. So if you need like a quarter teaspoon, you're not going to bother calculating how much that quarter teaspoon is going to be. It's just going to be calculated to the Q factor. So this Q factor ranges from 1 to 5%. That's average. It could be more if you need it to be, depending on how many ingredients you have that you don't need to calculate. The average in a restaurant business is 5%. It's just usually you account for that. 5% for me is a little too much. I like 3%. But if I have, like I said, a lot more smaller ingredients, I will take that into account. And so you multiply the total ingredient by the Q factor, which you have to put that into a decimal, which would be 0.03, 0.05, depending on percent. Now the total recipe cost. So this is after you combine the Q factor and the total ingredient cost. Usually this is the last step where you have to add all the ingredients. However, it might be depending on if it's a full plate up. You need a sauce to go with the chicken, you need to put it aside. You can add it on to the end and it'll be under additional cost. And now, so portion cost. Once you have the recipe together, usually the recipe is a specific portion size. So maybe you get 10 portions per. You're gonna have to take that to find out how much one portion costs. That way, when you have the plate up, you'll know how much that plate actually costs you, and not how much the entire recipe costs you. You divide this by taking the total recipe. You divide by the number of portions per recipe. It's pretty simple. these are a few other formulas you're going to need to know. So you have the total plate cost. That is the recipe cost plus the additional cost that I just said. That way you know how much the entire plate in itself, including garnishes, sauces, sides, everything together. You have the preliminary selling price. So pretty much you set a desired cost percent. The average is roughly 30%, give or take, depending on how much you're willing to go. So you take the total plate cost and divide that by the desired cost. This will give you how much you should sell it for that desired cost percentage. Now, for the actual cost percent, whatever you're selling your recipe for, you're going to want to find out how much it's actually costing you percent-wise. Find out if you need to increase the price, decrease it, depending on if it's selling. So you'll take the total recipe cost and you'll divide by the actual selling price. And like I said, depending on the recipe, it varies. You have a high side cost, which isn't as well, because that means it costs a lot more. Probably after labor is included, you're not making money off of it. So roughly 30% is where you want to be for the cost percentage. Now we'll get into, yes, Alex.
Is there ever a scenario where it would be okay for your food cost percent to be higher than desired?
So you're saying you want the food cost percent higher? I
I'm
guess.
saying like there's a scenario
Yeah, so,
where it's like,
so say it's 50%. And you'll
I
take
was thinking like 35 for it. Like,
Well-
50's a little aggressive, but
personally, if it's a quick item to make and it doesn't cost that much in labor, it should be okay. Because that is taken into account the labor cost as well. You don't want to be in labor above 100% cost for that dish. So if it's a quick item to make, I don't see any problem with it being a little bit higher. Any other questions? Can someone turn on the lights? So today we will be making, I will be showing you guys bread pudding. But if you're enjoying it, you will be costing it out
Hello.
as we're
No,
preparing.
no.
I will be collecting it.
you know what?
Yeah, thanks.
Same time.
I'm wearing just the color on
So we're doing a chocolate banana bread pudding. However, the requisition came in and bananas are backward. So it's a chocolate banana bread pudding. Chocolate bread pudding. Was that? That was backward?
From us?
No.
Oh, I was thinking of
So I have here Portuguese sweetbread. So would anybody like to come up and weigh it out? So you're gonna write down the units for the recipe, how much you need, before I change it over to the cost, how much it costs. So anybody?
No, I'm about it.
So who would like to cover it? So I have here good old conventional scale. So as you're copying this down, has anybody ever tossed out a recipe before? Not in class? Would you let Aaron talk about your experience? What do you feel about it?
It's really enlightening as far as you get a feel for what you're doing and you respect what you're doing more. So when you see other cooks like throwing things away, like for example bell peppers, they take the sides off, they leave the bottom and then the top part of the ring. Though it's very mind-numbing after a while.
Yeah, that's one of the most common mistakes I find is there's so much waste. And this helps you calculate if you're wasting too much. No. So you need 26 ounces. This is 32, but
You want like 1 inch square?
first just
Oh, you-
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Way to go.
Nope.
So for your convenience, I have all the edible yield percentages that most foods will provide.
You're doing a great job.
Woo!
So you need 26.
Yep. Let's do what we do. Jenga.
So once you're done with measuring out 26 ounces,
Alexis, maybe we're the big one. What's that way?
once you're done measuring it out, you're going to do 1-inch cubes roughly.
Oh, right, we're coming.
That's 22 ounces.
You're about to keep
Did everybody finish copying out the recipe? The quantity of units? No, you put the bananas down. You guys figure it out.
done.
So if everybody gets a
25.9.
the standard yield for this recipe is 12. So you get 12 orders out of this one recipe.
Not with me here.
So if you have any scratches,
You want the purpose squares?
I know, it's
I was like,
it's all going to be mushed together at the end. So has everybody finished copying down?
do you have a container you want to put in?
Yes. So I have 2 bags. The bigger one for the bread.
You want the bread in the big one?
Yeah. Because we have to mix all the liquid into that. It's easier for me. Selena, are you all set?
Yeah.
So, if you would like to input the cost now for each one. So let's go over the sweet bread since that's what we're doing right now. So you have 26 ounces. Can anybody guess what the edible yield would be for this?
100.
Why is that, Aaron?
Because you're not taking the crust off of it, so you're using the whole bread.
Correct. Since we're using every piece of this bread, it's going to be 100% edible yield because you're eating the entire thing. You're not wasting it. So that'll be 100%. Can anybody figure out what the as purchased quantity would be now, since it is 100%? Celine?
Don't ask me. Try to pull on.
The as purchased.
I don't know.
So it's 26 ounces. You have the equation right in front of you, don't you?
No, I didn't. Where?
Look, she doesn't even
What
know
are we
what she's
talking
looking
about?
for.
Remember I had you copy down each equation?
Oh, yeah, seriously, I didn't have one. 26.
Yes. Since it's 100%, you're going to need 26 ounces. You're not going to need any less or any more. So, going off this, it is $9.99 for 64 ounces. Can anybody guess what unit we've used for the recipe? Was that out? Yes. You want to keep it the same as what you use in the recipe. Makes it easier in the long run. And now you want to reduce it to how much it costs for 1 ounce. So can somebody do the math for me? Natalie? How much would has anybody finished copying and knows the answer to the recipe cost?
About 16 cents.
Alex is correct. It is 16 cents for 1 ounce of Portuguese sweet bread. Does anybody know why I am using Portuguese sweet bread?
It's delicious.
So, it is a dessert and you kind of want it sweet, and I personally like the sweetness in the Portuguese sweet bread. It's the nail. And I find the consistency of the bread pudding after So these are actually from, most of them are from my place of employment. There's a few that's not because I didn't get that. The vanilla bean is how much you pay at Stop and Shop. Buy it. So it's not commercial price. However, most of it is, which is accurate for the field study. So as Alex said, it is 16 cents for 1 ounce. Does anybody know how much it would cost the entire recipe? It is 26 ounces, and it costs 16 cents for 1 ounce.
$4.16.
Correct. So it's $4.16. Now I can have another volunteer to come up. Yeah.
Take a photo.
So, the recipe here. You want to do the heavy creams, the eggs, and the pasteurized egg yolks. Yes. You want it in a separate bowl. So, what's the recipe say?
1 quart.
Okay. So, this
Yeah, I
is already,
know. Okay.
This is already made.
Oh, they all are? Okay. Well,
The eggs.
the whole
Crap.
list. 7
Into that bowl. So, as you're going ahead, I would like for you guys to continue to do the heavy cream eggs and the pasteurized egg yolks. Yeah. So does anybody know why I'm putting the cream, the eggs separately?
So they're mixed together fully before you get it in the fire. You don't end up like
I don't know, like deep red, some spot, and it's like full on cream and all.
Yeah, you wanna make sure it's fully incorporated and everything is mixed evenly before it goes in the bread. Because you don't want a piece of bread that has no vanilla in it or no cream, just straight egg. And then you take a bite into it, it's not gonna be that satisfying. So I'll help you guys out. The edible yields is 100% for all but one. Anybody guess what that one is? Yes. Why is that? Correct. Does anybody know what the edible yield percent is for that? The edible, so every edible yield on this is 100%, except for bananas, because the peel. So that is 65%. Yes.
How is it edible yield 100 for eggs?
Because it's going by each. So you're buying it one each. You're using one each. You're not wasting any egg.
And vanilla bean?
Vanilla bean,
aren't you wasting
Um,
yourself?
I'm purchasing by each and using it by each. However, there is a little bit of waste because I'm not using the pot. You only use the pot if you're going to be straining it. This won't be strained at all, and you can't use the pot. We're good. So, has anybody by chance finished?
Celine, for sure.
I definitely have not finished.
Are you having difficulty?
I'm always having difficulties, Chef. Always. Difficulties is my middle name.
So, what I find is the easiest way is when you're looking at it. So, look at eggs for instance, $19.95 for 15 dozen. What do you think you have to do first?
I have to see how many. I have to multiply 15 times.
Yes, you get 180.
Mm-hmm.
And then what would you do after that?
Divide by 1995.
Correct. See, it's not that hard once you're talking about it.
Well,
You had that pretty fast.
that's 9.02.
What did you get for that? You said 9.02?
15 times 12,
Yes.
180, divide, right?
You have to do the
Divide
price
19.
first.
Yeah, wait, so,
Yes, please, it's $19.
but it's right,
How much is the recipe gonna cost? You have 7 eggs plus 11 cents.
77 cents.
Nice job. Once you keep practicing, this does come to you a lot easier. I do this all the time, so it's fairly simple for me. That looks fairly good. You got the awesome. So, I get one more volunteer. Celine. So, I gave it to you. I didn't. Does anybody have the edible yield?
Yes, of course, chef. Aww.
So this is pretty much mostly everything that has a
Does
lease.
that all the time.
This will help you now and in the future, so keep it in reference. Okay,
Am I mixing?
you're gonna be mixing that.
That's where you're at.
You want to second or when he does saying if you want to do this?
So has anybody done the heavy cream yet? On the cost card? Yeah. How much for one quart? Correct. And how much for the rest of it? Yes. So this is very key when you have a restaurant. You need to be able to tell how much everything's gonna cost. So first, for that, all this.
here?
Use the rubber spatulas to make sure you get everything. Now, I also have gloves here. They're medium or whatever.
That's fine. That's me right there. Can I put this there?
Yeah. All self is coming for this. So, since there was no bananas on the rack, we normally would caramelize those first with brown sugar, vanilla extract, and lemon juice. And we'll let them cool, and after this, they'll get mixed in at the same time. But we are going to be mixing in the chocolate chips, so you need to know. Yes.
Because you don't have the vanilla and the sugar with the lemon juice, you have to add extra sugar.
I don't believe so because it's getting cooked with bananas and caramelizing. So I mean you're missing the banana flavor, but at the same time you still have the vanilla bean itself in there. So you are getting vanilla flavor. Any other questions at this time? Anyone stumped on the cost card aspect of the math? So is it all incorporated?
No.
So this is 1 cup.
So she's not in the picture when she's
I think we should just add the whole batch.
Okay.
The bigger go home. Yes.
How long does the protein take?
So this bread pudding takes, depending on the pan size, how thick. I'm putting it in a half hotel pan that's deep. So it's going to take roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours.
So not tonight.
I did make them ahead of time with bananas in it.
Yes.
So
Is that all, chef?
Alex, you can make it like a muffin tin and it takes like 20 minutes.
I think this one's not
anybody
something
know the best way to place this parchment paper?
You make
Any technique?
Cut it.
How would you cut it?
the corners.
Kelsey, would you like? Would anybody like to demonstrate it? So this is a full, this would fit in a full hotel pan, however I'm a half, so I need to cut it in half. So besides Kelsey, does anybody know how you would easily make that fit in that pan? No? Aaron,
Yes.
you know how to do it?
Pan spray the pan first,
Yes.
and then slit the 4 corners.
Would you like to come up and show us?
Oh.
So by cutting it down the corners, it makes it so that it rolls around the round edge, and it covers 95% of the area. As you can see how it rolls around the corners. This is the most efficient way of putting it without it getting all crumpled around and getting tucked in. Now we're going to spray it again just so when it's done baking it comes right out. Now would you like to dump that in?
I would.
Do it such a good job.
You just dump the entire thing. Make sure it's all mixed in.
Miss chocolate chip.
When you're done with your hands, use the rubber spatula to get it all.
Okay.
So has anybody completed this worksheet? Megan, have you completed it? What? Why don't you go over what you have completed so far? So the class can write it down.
Because we're all really bad at it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's right. What am I going over?
So let's go over the pasteurized egg yolks.
Okay.
What do you have there?
So you need half a cup and hold on. You need half a cup for the recipe and you purchase it per pint. It's $3.99 per pint. And then you have to transfer it cups. 2 cups of pint. So that's 2 cups. Half cup divided by 4 is
So you're not in the video.
99 cents for the rest.
It's so it's actually $1.99.
Oh, is it?
Oh, for the recipe, it's 99 cents.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's $1.99 per cup.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just skip that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. My bad.
So did anybody do the chocolate chips? No.
Yes.
Delaney, why don't you? Chocolate chips. So I actually did it by cups. So when I did it, was $1.42 per cup. So I like to keep in the same unit. That way you only have to multiply by that specific number. You don't have to worry about multiplying by anything else. So finished product is, it's kind of hard to, I'll pass it around. You like to look at it?
My hands are open.
So it looks a bit liquidy, however, when you pass it.
Whoever stirred that. Really
Look at that. Wow.
So it does look liquidy, however, with the egg yolks, it will stick on. So let me go grab the finished product.
It's very nice.
It's like magic.
It's 12 powder.
Let me see for the video.
Dense.
Raw.
Chef, would you bake this in a water bath?
No, you would not. It is a baked custard, and it doesn't require a water bath. You would actually, when you bake it, you cover with foil first for roughly the first hour, hour and a half, and then for the last half hour, you uncover it to get a nice golden brown. So this, I just flipped it out of the pan. So I like serving it with a bourbon caramel.
Oh,
Yeah,
And then
Ice cream
nice
and-
vanilla ice cream on top.
Do we have those items in the kitchen?
We do not.
I mean, we can forage.
So as you see,
I have
it
bourbon in
is
my bag.
burned up. It was looking like that, very liquidy, but it is now burnt. So normally, what I would do, I cut off the edges because they're a bit crispy, and then I'll cut it in half, and then by thirds. But since this is for everybody to taste, and I also like to heat it up before I eat it.
Yes. Yeah, cool. Kind of gross. Very nice.
I love eggs.
I love egg souffle.
to come up and try some, you can.
Who's gonna go first?
Go.
All right.
Go.
I don't wanna
Oh my God.
split.
I want
It's
this.
hard
I
doing
want
that.
this.
I'll pass out.
No. I'm splitting.
Here, I'll put them in first.
Fine.
Okay, that works.
Deal.
I'll put that down. Well, it's not working.
That's the way.
So,
I'm just trying to split it.
So if you go fill these out,
Bananas.
I also have a brief clip about cost cards.
It's got a pump.
well,
No, it's good.
you like this?
Don't try. That's ideal. Just your cheek and your nose.
Oh. Budgets.
Yes, Celine is that banana bread getting past that.
I did mute the computer before.
Banana
You
bread
can have to get one.
is not banana bread.
They're not fancy enough. You could.
Not that I look at it. I can't see it.
Menu is just spectacular. Food is phenomenal. But you're not making them.
Just look at it. Keep doing the same thing. The same thing.
Can someone hit the lights?
Menu just spectacular. Food is phenomenal. But you're not making the money you deserve. I'm going to show you exactly why and how to change that. Hello, this is Dave Scott Peters with the RestaurantExpert.com. And I want to talk a little bit about your menu. Do you ever feel like you're putting out incredible food, a great guest experience, but you're not making the money you deserve? Let me ask you a question. Would you agree that your menu is the heart of your business? It has everything to do with the decor you chose, style of service, product quality, price point? The answer would be yes, right? So it's the heart of your business. And you haven't costed out every one of your recipes to know exactly what money you would make on every item you sell. And you're pumping cholesterol into all of your arteries, eventually choking off the heart and killing the business, one customer at a time. You must know, if you want to have any chance of making money, you must know what every recipe costs. It's in fact the most important system you're going to have in your business. Because if you don't know what every recipe costs, you're throwing your profitability what I call dumbass luck. Seriously, think about it. I had this pleasure a couple summers ago buying tires for 2 cars on the same day. I mean, you gotta be kidding me, right? Put my car into the shop because the tire was wobbling. My wife had a sports car, needed new tires. I'm getting her tires, get a phone call from the dealership, I need new tires. Well, you've all been to a tire retail store, right? There's stacks of tires with prices on them. I got a question for you. Do you think that manager woke up in the morning, got ready for work, came in, had a cup of coffee, walked out of their office door and said, looked at a stack of tires and went, $350. Or do you think that manager knew exactly what every tire cost, what he or she needed to sell that tire to make any money? I'd say the latter. But in our business, Chef puts out incredible special, right? Sally with a great chalkboard writing, starts writing fettuccine Alfredo with chicken, right? And says, hey chef, how much is the special? Chef goes, stares at the special, right out of his rear end. $13.95. She writes $13.95. Are you kidding me? I mean, think about this. Features, specials, we should be charging more, having an opportunity to make more money on them. In fact, we give our guests the opportunity to have chicken that has 1 day left on it. That's special. That's worth more, right? All kidding aside, if you don't know what it costs, how the hell do you expect to make any money? You have to have recipe costing cards for every item you have in your business. If not, you are throwing your business what I call dumbass luck. If you want to make real money, you have to know what they cost. Now let me tell you, it's a long, arduous process. It's easy as heck. Start with your batch recipes, take your menu, go down item by item, and write down what sauces, side dishes, soups, and so on that you make, dressing. Do those first. Then start attacking each one of your menu items because you have to create the cost of each one of your ingredients. So if you want to make a change in your business right now, it starts with recipe costing cards. I'm telling you, they're critical. Now, before you go, are you using recipe cards right now? What kind of success are you having? Are Are you using soft?
The rest of that video is going to be just advertising the site. So, does anybody want to say like one thing they got from this video? Megan H.
It's essential to have box cards.
And why is that?
So you're not throwing money down the drain.
Nice. So, for next class, we will be doing. You'll be bringing in a recipe. You will be costing it out, and you will be preparing it. However, I will provide all the costs, so I'll just bring in the recipe. I also broke you guys off into groups. However, you are all bringing in your own recipe and doing your own item. So, Lonnie, Alex, and Alexis, you are bringing in a breakfast recipe. And it has to be at least 5 ingredients, nothing less. I don't want someone bringing in scrambled eggs. So, Kelsey, Megan S., Jamirse, Delaney, you are on appetizers. So bring in appetizers. Megan H., Vinny, and Laura is on entree. And Aaron, Kendall, Natalie, and Celine, you are on dessert.
Nailed it. Word up.
So I hope you guys are prepared for your next class. Because
Or else.
any questions about the lesson?